after they'd arrived in Somalia. Then we heard that one of the men named on the flight lists had managed to make a phone call to his family from a Somali prison. He said he was in the hands of the Ethiopian army.
He told me I'm in Mogadishu International Airport. He told me I'm not okay. I was brought here. We were handcuffed. We were blindfolded. Even the kids were blindfolded and handcuffed.
If he has done something wrong, why not taken to court here in Kenya where he belongs, instead of being deported somewhere there is no law? There is no law in Somalia. Actually, I can't say I'm proud to be a Kenyan because what that did to my brother is crazy.
When I saw it was about 3 days, he didn't call. I tried to call the number, and they took them, so they picked up. They told me that these guys, they were taken to Ethiopia.
It sounded like their brother had been rendered again, this time to Ethiopia. Then he told us about another call he'd received from a woman who said she'd been in prison with his brother. For the first time we heard evidence of direct American involvement.
She told us that my brother is okay, but they are under investigation. The FBI interrogate them every day.
The FBI, not the CIA. This matched what we'd heard, that the CIA was moving into the background, letting other agencies take the lead in handling terror suspects. We set off to find the woman who'd made the call. She was just across the border in Tanzania. Chandi is 25 years old. Last summer she moved to Somalia to join her husband, who she said was looking for work in Mogadishu. They fled when the fighting started. But when they reached Kenya, the anti-terrorist police were convinced they had Al-Qaeda connections. They told Fatma they were arresting her on behalf of the Americans.
The police tried to force me to admit my husband was a member of Al-Qaeda. I told them he was just a businessman. They kept banging on the table. They threatened to strangle me if I didn't tell them the truth.
Fatma and her husband had been travelling in the same convoy as the wife and children of the terrorist suspect, Fazul Abdullah. All of them were taken to Nairobi airport and put on one of the Rendition flights to Somalia.
When we arrived at the airport, we were handcuffed and our headscarves were pulled down over our eyes like this. The men were hooded. The children were crying all the time, saying, "We want to go home, we want to go home."
They were held in Mogadishu for 10 days and then rendered again, this time to Ethiopia. After a few days, Fatma was taken from her cell to meet some Americans.
I was led away for interrogation. They took a specimen of my saliva. They took my fingerprints. The other women in my cell were interrogated more than me. They told me that they were being questioned about their husbands. The Americans wanted to know if their husbands were in Al-Qaeda.
One of Fatma's cellmates was pregnant. After 2 weeks in prison, she gave birth to the first child known to have been born to the Rendition program.
She went into labor in the middle of the night and was taken to the hospital where she had a baby. After that, she was brought back to prison.
Do you know what she called the child? After 3 months in prison, Fatma was released without charge and flown back to her family in Tanzania. husband and at least 70 other prisoners remained in detention. Addis Ababa, the capital of Ethiopia. According to the government here, Islamic terrorists have been crossing into Ethiopia from Somalia and supporting a violent separatist uprising. For Ethiopia, the intervention in Somalia is part of the global war on terror. It was somewhere here that American agents had been interrogating the prisoners rendered from Kenya and Somalia. The Ethiopian authorities acknowledged they were holding 41 suspected international terrorists in detention. But 40 of the ghost plane passengers remain unaccounted for, including at least 11 children. We put our findings to Prime Minister Meles Zenawi, who's ruled the country since 1991.
You have to understand the type of enemy we were fighting in Mogadishu and in Somalia. You have international terrorists with their wives and children sheltered in Somalia. You find the wife, you don't find the husband, and the wife is fleeing the battlefield. You do not know whether the wife is just a wife or a comrade and a colleague in the act of terrorism. You find her fleeing, you catch her, you detain her.
We couldn't meet the prisoners, but the government did give us some footage shot by their own state TV company. All the detainees seemed very keen to praise their jailers.
Every treatment is good. Every treatment is good, no problems.
Just fine, I'm feeling good, and they're treating us good. Good food.
The treatment has been very good.
No problems.
Good.
No, good.
Have you faced any torture or mistreatment? No.
We later learned the prisoners had been told they'd be released once they'd spoken to the cameras. In fact, they went straight back to prison and interrogation. But would the Prime Minister confirm that Americans were questioning the prisoners?
Thank you for justice for me. Anybody who has information has also been provided access to these detainees, not just the Americans, anybody who knows about these individuals and wants to ask questions.
We found out that every day prisoners were driven to a private villa to be questioned by the Americans. They were also interrogated by intelligence agencies from Britain, France, Libya, Israel and Sweden.
Have you faced any torture?
No, nothing. No, nothing.
This man, a Swedish citizen called Munir, was released without charge on the 18th of May. He subsequently alleged he was assaulted by his American interrogators.
Have you faced torture or mistreatment here in Ethiopia and Addis Ababa?
No.
This man, a Tunisian called Adnan, was also released without charge. His wife, who was in prison with him, gave birth on the day of their release. Adnan recorded a video testimony for us about his encounters with the American interrogators.
One of the Americans was a black guy. He used to beat up the prisoners. He was a big guy, a strong guy. They were trying to force me to confess 2 things. When I refused, I was taken to another room. My hands were tied behind my back, and I was blindfolded. I had to stand there barefoot for 6 hours. Then, one of them said, "You are a criminal, and you are a murderer. You'll be tried. Then, you'll be executed."
The FBI and CIA deny using abusive techniques. In all, 4 children were born in Ethiopian captivity. At least 29 people on the Rendition flights remain missing. The Bush administration and its supporters argue the threat posed by Al-Qaeda justifies the extreme measures taken since 9/11.
These people are murderers. They want to kill us wholesale in large numbers if they can. This is not a game of chess. It's not an academic exercise. It's reality.
But this reality means that thousands of people have been swept up. Many have turned out not to be terrorists.